Oh, Wes, that's our music. That's our music. Yeah, it's time, baby. It's time for another week of high school football. It is Lowco Friday night. Well, almost. The sun hasn't gone down yet, but it will soon enough. It's going down a little bit earlier this time of year, which makes it feel just a little more meaningful. I mean, when it starts being darker at kickoff,
Yeah.
the games mean a little bit more. And when you get to that point when it's cold and dark by the time they kick the ball, then it's really go time. So we're starting to get into it, man. It's region play in full effect this week. All kinds of interesting matchups. By the way, I'm Justin Jarrett. He's Wes Kerr. You probably know by now. This is week 6 of this thing when we started in week -1. So do the math. That's like week 8. We've been doing this forever. But we're getting to know the characters, and we got some new characters coming on board this week. We're going to have Kevin Libby is going to be with us tonight for the recap show. He couldn't join us for the preview, but I think Marcus Walsh, despite being otherwise occupied, is going to jump in with us. He's singing in the choir tonight in the Mary, what is it, the Mary something choral, Mary Green choral. I don't. That's not my world, but it's amazing that he's in that, and I think he's going to make an appearance in the Duds on the recap show tonight too. So that should be fun. And Sammy Dubs, he's a little tied up right now. He's trying to get to Morehouse to see Jay this weekend. So not sure we'll see him on either show today, but we'll see if we can squeeze him in somehow. I'm sure someone from Patrick Henry will make it on, but Coach Joe Gray Peoples could not join us, so I'll relay a little bit of the story he told me the other day on the phone about the forfeit situation, because it's forfeit season, Wes. It's forfeit season in Skiza. We got 2 of them this week, and there will be many more to come because you got teams that just don't have the guys to do it anymore at this point in the season. So that's unfortunate, but we've got other big games on tap, including the Bridge Bowl, where you will be. You have a vested interest in that one as a Hilton Head alum, but you're able to cast aside your biases. So I look forward to hearing about that one. That'll be the WHHI game of the week as well. So Kevin Libby will be on that one with Daniel Court, I believe. So then we've got the other big one that I'll be going to, the other Loco on Loco, is Hampton County at Ridgeland. I think that one's got potential to be fun. It's also got potential for Hampton County to just, assert themselves and kind of take control and it to just be kind of a non-event, but it does have the potential to be good. And then some other games on the slate. We got on the high school league side, May River at Lucy Beckham, which is an interesting region opener that is kind of a litmus test to see how good Lucy Beckham really is and how good May River might be, because the defense has been very good. Colleton County at James Island, that's an uphill climb for Kinlock and company, who have had a brutal schedule. Their opponents are like 22-4 combined or something, and North Charleston is in there. Like the teams they've lost to are like 19-1. Hampton County's the one. Like it's tough. But they've got winnable games ahead, I think, if they can get through this one unscathed. Beaufort at Philip Simmons is a huge one. It's probably the Region 8 3A championship game. No disrespect to Hanahan or Battery Creek or North Charleston, but I mean, it looks like whoever wins that one is in the driver's seat. That's why we're calling it the Daytona 500 of that region. Battery Creek at North Charleston is also interesting because the winner gets a playoff spot. So Battery Creek, I mean, realistically, is probably either looking at 1-9 in the playoffs or 0-10, and there's a gulf of difference between those two. Getting that extra week of practice and reps is huge. So that's a huge game for the Dolphins tonight. I mentioned Hampton County at Ridgeland, Whale Branch at Bethune-Bowman. I expect that one should be pretty lopsided by halftime. And then over on the Skiza side, we got First Baptist at HHCA. HHCA looking really good. I like them to take 4 in a row there. Florence Christian at Hilton Head Prep in the afternoon delight. John Paul II at Cardinal Newman. What's that?
Yeah, before I head to the Bridge Bowl, I'm going to.
Oh yeah, you're going to pop there, right?
Yeah, Hilton prep game. See if they can. I've been able to see Hilton prep get this year, but I think this is a under the radar game that they can compete in, and we'll get to that later. But
yeah, I do too. I think if they can be competitive early, they've got a chance there. JP2's got a tough one at Cardinal Newman, undefeated. Greenwood Christian at Colleton Prep. Greenwood's a tough team. They're better than the 2-4 record would indicate. Thomas Hayward at Dillon Christian. I like Thomas Hayward in that one as long as Tony O'Banner stays upright. And then the 2 forfeits. BA gets the forfeit win over Palmetto Christian. And the Kings Academy forfeits to Patrick Henry. And we got great memes from the kids on the Instagram for both of those, poking a little fun, but it's all good. Like I said, it's forfeit season. I mean, when you're 0-5 looking at 6-0, when you only got 16 guys or 14 guys or something, you're like, do we really want to make this trip?
Yeah.
Do we really want to have these folks come up here and do this to us? And forfeit's not the worst thing if it's not going to be a competitive situation.
Yeah.
That's not great for the kids. So,
I mean, there are always downsides. It's definitely, I mean, as a team who's, in a position where a team forfeits on you, you wish you could have gotten just some reps in game action, because it kind of goes as a bye week and a chance that you haven't been able to play. But, I'm sure, these coaches will take it in a good direction in terms of, they did practice all week. They prepared for most of the week for this game, but you just kind of, as a coach, make sure they're fresh and ready, because for both these teams, got a couple big games ahead, especially Buford Academy looking up to matchup with Williamsburg Academy a week from now.
So I'll give you a little inside baseball here. Buford Academy really wanted to play Patrick Henry this week when they found out that both of them were getting forfeited on, and it was on the table. But here's what happened. Patrick Henry on Monday, they played dodgeball at practice. They're banged up, man. They're trying to get healthy. On Monday, they played dodgeball at practice. And then they got the word Tuesday that they were getting the forfeit. So on Tuesday, they cleaned out a shed or something. They didn't practice. And so then on Wednesday, they were asked to go play Buford Academy on Friday. And that suddenly didn't seem like the wisest course of action, as fun as it seemed. And as much as I was like, I understand why they said, you know what, we're not really prepared for that. It would be far more beneficial for us to take this week that we've been given to lick our wounds and heal up and be ready for the games that matter.
Right.
And, as Coach Peoples mentioned to me, Devontae Green got hurt in what is essentially a meaningless game. I mean, it doesn't matter toward their ultimate goal. What if he got Hugh or Michael Tucker hurt in a meaningless game that they didn't have to play because they weren't properly prepared through practice that week? So there's a lot of things that go into those decisions, and I think that was probably wise of Coach Peoples to just pump the brakes for a second and think it through, and not let the mania of the what could be get in your head, because it would have been a really fun game. It would have been a blast and everybody would have loved it, but would have been smart? I don't know. I'm not sure it would have been. So it's all good. They'll take the forfeit. They'll heal up, and like you said, they both have big games coming up. So Patrick Henry looking ahead to that Thomas Hayward game. That one's going to be Donnybrook. But I will share the Coach Peoples story for funsies. So Coach Peoples was, he started feeling a little lightheaded and dizzy the other day, and called the doctor. Wasn't sure what was going on, and they couldn't rule out stroke. So they sent him to MUSC, and where they did rule out stroke, and he was diagnosed with vertigo. So now he has a good excuse to sit on the couch and watch TV, watch football whenever he wants to. I'm feeling a little dizzy, honey. I don't think I can do this yard work right now. That's what I told him. But, in all seriousness, vertigo can be serious. Our buddy Rietveld suffers with it. So it was a relief that that's what it was. But he was trying to get back for the game, but that wasn't possible. So he was relying on updates from folks who were at the game, and he was not satisfied with the detail provided in these updates. So I share this as a public service to the Patrick Henry folks. I know y'all listen. If Coach Peoples has to miss another game, we got to find somebody who can give him some actual contextual updates over text message, because beautiful deep pass from Hugh Ferry to Forrest Ferry, pass interference not called. That's not getting it done for Coach. He needs a little more context of what's going on in the game, not so much in the weeds of the details there. So, but I thought that was a fun story. He was going to come on and tell it, but he was tied up today. But wanted to wish Coach Peoples the best because he's good people, and glad to see he's back on his feet and should be back on the sideline next week. But Jackson Wiggins, 23-year-old, getting the interim coach win. That was pretty
story.
Cool.
That's a heck of a story, and I don't know if any of our statistical wizards or anyone over at the high school league historians would know if that's the youngest in the state, because
well, Stricklander was researching it, but I don't know that we've gotten a definite answer on that yet. But Stricklander was on it. He's the official Skiza historian of Lowco Sports, and he is all over that thing. Yep. He'll cross-check it with the high school league and whatever came before the high school league and everything else. He's literally like a history guy, like a history major. He's good at that stuff. He's a wealth of knowledge. But well, Wes, let's shout out our MVP sponsors real quick before we get any deeper into this thing. Starting with my wife. I told Kevin Libby I can't not do the Borat voice because I tried not to once and it came out half Borat and it was just embarrassing. But my wife, Megan Jarrett, is the official realtor of Lowco Sports. She's with the Pierce Group of eXp Realty, and she would love to help you find your place in the Lowco, whether it's a starter home, a forever home, or an investment property, or just a spot where you can come hang your hat for a while when you need to get close to the water and to a slower pace of life. She'll help you find your spot in the Lowco. She's the official realtor of Lowco Sports. That's Megan Jarrett with the Pierce Group of eXp. And she would love to find you a home and then make sure it's a good one by calling on our friend Jan Lucas and Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. And Jan is my guy. I saw him this morning. He does great work, man. And he's especially active out in Margaritaville. So if you have friends or relatives that are looking to make the move down here and get that Jimmy Buffett lifestyle going on, he's the guy to talk to. He'll connect you up over there and make sure they build you a wonderful home. He's got a great relationship with them out there. But regardless, if you are doing a resale, if you need an inspection, Homegrown Home Inspections is the way to go. And then when it's time to seal the deal, we'll go to Mickelson Law Firm to sign the paperwork because they're the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports and our original sponsors since 2017. Love Tiffany and Ryan and their team, and they'll help you with all your legal needs at Mickelson Law Firm. And then we've, of course, got Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, Jimmy Diamond and the team over there. I love them to death. No pun intended. And they'll take care of you at the end of your life to make sure that it's a peaceful journey and a pleasant experience for everyone involved. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. And they throw a great party too. Harmonious coming up October 12th. Under the Stars at Harbor Town. Going to have a live jazz concert with all kinds of great food and drinks, silent auction, all kinds of stuff going on. And it'll all benefit Hospice Care of the Lowcountry and Palliative Care of the Lowcountry so that folks in our community don't have to come out of pocket for those incredibly valuable services. So those are our MVP sponsors. If you'd like to join the roster, you can hit me up at lowcosports@gmail.com. That's LOWCO sports@gmail.com. And we will get you in the mix and on Team Lowco. And Wes, let's dig in a little deeper on some games here. I know Marcus Walsh doesn't have a lot of time, so let's get him in here first. Jimmy might not either, so we'll try to make it brief. But Marcus, what's going on, buddy? I know you don't have a lot of time. You gotta go prep for your big concert. And we don't want to use the pipes up too much right now. But you wanted to talk a little bit about this Bridge Bowl game, Hilton Head and Bluffton.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be there tonight because I think it's going to be a great game. But got to do what you got to do. Take a little care of business. Little Elvis going on tonight. Yeah, I'm actually doing a solo as Elvis tonight. And
dude,
a couple other things with the.
We got somebody on video. We got somebody on video for this.
I'm sure there's a way that we can.
I'm gonna need that video. Hunka burning love, Marcus Walsh.
It's actually a subset of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, but they wanted an Elvis impersonator. So I said, I'll do it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're just shameless enough to do it. That's perfect.
But get back to this one. I mean, I think it's going to be great. Last year's game was absolutely phenomenal, literally going into overtime. And I've said it before and I will again. There's just something that really I'm so inspired by the way Hilton Head has played. And that don't take anything away from Bluffton in what I'm saying, but Hilton Head has turned it into a completely different gear, and I'm very, very happy with the way that they've started this season. I think that they've got, some tremendous athletes, and they're on a different level, right in the mix at 7-4A. I think that they're going to go into Bluffton, and I'm expecting very much a similar game to what we saw last year, but I think they can go in there and win. Owen Bays has been great. Obviously, Jake Huggins didn't do much when we saw them against Beaufort. Obviously, both teams having lost close games to Beaufort is a big thing, and a common opponent. They both had kind of lopsided losses otherwise, Bluffton with Jenkins, and then you saw the game between Hilton Head and Hampton, Justin.
I guess the big question for me is, this is the first time we've seen Hilton Head since that game, and that was the only game where they just didn't really compete. They were kind of lost in that game. They weren't really competitive. And so my question is, what do they look like coming off of that? They had a bye week. And I mean, that's what you want. You want a bye week after you kind of lay an egg. But it also means like, okay, well, we had 2 weeks. We better show something. So I do expect, I agree with you, Marcus. I think that team's got some mettle, and I think they're going to bounce back and play their best game here. Like they've had a week, 2 weeks to stew on it and get better. And I think that makes it a really interesting game, because I think Hilton Head's defense is a little bit stronger and more physical. I think their offensive line might be a little bit more physical, but Bluffton will carve you up. Like they're not a power team; they're a finesse team, and that means they're going to give up some plays on defense because they're not great tackling. But they're gonna take swings. But they're going to take swings on offense too, and they're going to connect on some of them. And so, I guess the question for me is, can Hilton Head be explosive enough on offense to outscore Bluffton? Because Bluffton's going to score, I think.
Yeah. They're two.
It's going to be interesting.
Styles.
It's very contrasting. Yeah. That's always fun.
That's always team fun. Likes to grind you down. Bluffton with more of the explosive, high octane offense. So, I think it'll be interesting to see what Hilton Head's defense can do if they can limit those explosive plays and try to hold down the strong passing game of what we've seen the last week with Owen Bays getting it to Carnell Warren and Brandon Bryant, who. Marcus, you probably heard about this, but looked like it was a new Beaufort County record, over 300 receiving yards for Bryant. I know you could make that it was
344
starters, but still be able to produce like that against anybody, that takes some pure talent. And we talked to him last night. He definitely has that, but. I agree with the assessment that Hilton Head has more of that physicality, that toughness defensively. So if they're able to force some turnovers from Owen Bays, who has been kind of turnover prone at quarterback, and if they're able to get some stops on defense, I like Hilton Head's opportunity and their chance to really control it by using Troy Timko on the offensive line to drain some clock and run the football. So I like the way Hilton Head. Gets 2 weeks off to prepare for this game. They've been really composed. That was a tough one on the road against a very good Hampton County team. That Hampton defense is legit. So I think, having the time to respond from that. We've seen Jackson Bybee have a nice bounce back performance, especially after that Beaufort game. So he has that, next game, next week mentality in him. Yeah, and I think he's a great back. And I think he bounces back. And, Troy Timko, one of the best backs. John Dobson's up there, but Timko's.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Timko was banged in that game. He wasn't 100% in that Hampton game. And now he's had 2 full weeks of rest, and he should be healthy.
Yeah.
And, power backs have been a problem for Bluffton. Bringing guys down is not their strength. It's a really interesting matchup. I think it's got the potential to be pretty high scoring. I do think, like you said, that if Shy can wreak a little havoc in the backfield early and get Bays just kind of thinking a little too fast, get the brain going a little too fast, because he needs to be calm and cool and make his reads and make his progressions and deliver the ball and target. And when he's locked in, man, he's really good in that offense. But if you can get him rattled a little bit, which Hilton has been able to do, they had Chris Terry rattled at Hampton. I think I think the matchup's pretty good for Hilton Head, but I just don't know if they can outscore them. Like it's just really interesting.
It's the big one for
I
me.
think
Revenge game narrative for Owen Days. So
for sure, but also for Hilton Head, because like you know he was their guy.
They know the book on him.
As soon as the season ended, he jumped to Bluffton. You know, so like they're like, hey man, like we were cool with the two quarterbacks and you weren't. So like you know, there's fun rivalry there, but I don't think there's bad blood. Like I think everybody gets along and everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey man, you were with us and now you're against us. We want to beat you. You dang right they do.
Yeah.
Real bad, just as bad as he wants to beat them. And that's what makes it wonderful is when the stakes are so high, when the emotions involved are so high. That's what makes it so good. So it's an awesome storyline. I mean, if it was a college football game, you'd get 15 minutes on it on game day. You know, like it would be a huge story. And if we had the resources and the time, we would have done that too. Someday when my full vision is realized.
It really reminds me of what we heard from Alonzo Allen when he was talking to you
about
guys
playing Battery Creek.
About Battery Creek and that game that we saw. That we, you know, we appreciate those guys and we love those guys and we respect those guys. But when we're on the field, we want to beat the you know what out of them. So
because we know we are going to hear about it for a year if we don't.
Exactly. So that's the way it definitely looks. We ended up, even Daniel Court and I, seeing that that game between BA and HHCA the other day. We ended up on it and whatnot in retrospective, if you will.
Right.
And you know that's a lot of the same deal. And that was a game for a half too. Where you've got a lot of guys that know each other and the rivalry runs deep. I was going through some of the deep numbers just between Ron Peduzzi and Nick Schufert alone. Oh my goodness gracious. The rivalry between those two guys and the numbers are so close. And we see them everywhere, guys. Not just between Hilton Head and Bluffton. This area that we live in, the Lowcountry, it's so small that, you know, there are just those connections. And it makes for great storytelling and great storylines in this crazy thing that we do on Friday nights and beyond.
That's what makes it so great. That's what makes it
it's a new story every week. I mean, it's the same guys, but there's new narratives, new opportunities.
Sorry, just real quick, I want to highlight another quick storyline for our broadcast is that Kevin Libby is going to be filling in for me and making his play-by-play debut. I couldn't think of anybody else that I wanted to call this game for me just because of the fact that he's been around these games with us all year long. I've had the privilege of working with him for several years, doing various things, including our podcast together. And I wanted to give him a shot, and he's really excited. We're both going to hop on. He'll probably still be jacked up after the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a great one, and I'll be popping on with my tux and all to, you know, me get the recap of what's going on. And he's really excited, and definitely wanted to promote Kevin too, because he's just a great guy and one of the kind guy to work with.
Man, he's acting like I'm doing him a favor letting him come on here. I'm like, brother, I've been trying to rope you in here for a long time, and I'm not letting you out. This is not going to be a one-time appearance. The Libs is going to become a character, a full-on character.
He does basketball with me. He's the color analyst for basketball, as you know. Yeah. So we will definitely come on and talk some hoops.
Oh yeah, he's not getting loose. He's not getting out of this thing. Once you think you're out, I keep pulling you back in. You're not getting out of this thing. You're in. Well, hey, go rest those pipes, dude, and break a leg tonight, and we'll see you in the duds later on tonight.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later on this evening.
All right, thanks, man.
You got it.
Good old Marcus. Oh man, I hope we get video of him doing Elvis. That could be epic. The real possibilities are endless. I mean, just endless. We could have so much fun with that. But we've got another friend who's been waiting patiently in the green room from his green room. It is Mr. Green himself, Jimmy Searson. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
How y'all doing? Good. Y'all doing okay?
Doing great, man. It's Friday. Yeah,
you
got a big one tonight.
Yeah,
You
I'm
got
excited.
a big one tonight at Philip Simmons. Sorry, you're on a delay.
Yeah, this
there.
is one
you
of
talk.
the.
You talk.
Okay. No, I was gonna say, yeah, this is the game that I circled, all season long. But yeah, it's a big one. Philip Simmons is undefeated at 6-0, and Buford's 4-2. But whoever wins this game, I think.
Let me see that dog. I need to see that dog.
Well, I got 3 of them somewhere around here.
Oh man, I want to see him. But okay.
I could get one. Hold on. I could get the mini schnauzer. Mini schnauzer.
Give me a dog. Give me a dog. I want a dog on the show. No, this is going to be a huge game, Buford and Philip Simmons. If we're going to listen to the dog, I want to see the dog. That's the thing. I love dogs on podcasts. It's one of my favorite things. Oh my goodness.
This is my wife's dog.
Who's that? What's her name?
Coco.
Coco.
Yes, Coco.
Coco.
Nice.
Friend of the show, Coco. Oh, awesome. We've all had this one circled, obviously, for a while, I think. And it's interesting that it's the first game of region play. It's like the Daytona 500 because you get the Super Bowl out of the way up front. So how you feeling? I'm sure you're a little anxious, definitely eager and excited, but how you like this matchup? It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a real good matchup. Philip Simmons, they love to run the football. They got 2 good running backs in KJ Asbury. He's got over 1,000 yards rushing already. And then Sherrod Williams, which he's got over 800 yards rushing already. So they're only averaging like 5 passes a game. So Buford's run defense, they got the work cut out for them, but I got a good feeling about this game.
Yeah. You mentioned Daytona 500. It kind of has that NASCAR flair with those electric running backs on both sides. Of course, you talk about the 2 from Philip Simmons, but Jaden Andrews made a nice case for himself. On the other side, what have you seen from Andrews after that 5-touchdown game? Think he could have another big night against Philip Simmons?
Yeah, I'm looking for Andrews to have a huge night. He's been really impressive lately. These last 2 or 3 games, it takes like 5 or 6 players just to tackle him. And 5 touchdowns in a game, man, that's impressive. But Buford's going to need Andrews a lot tonight. I look for Andrews to have a huge game tonight because Philip Simmons, they played a weak schedule so far. They hadn't played the schedule that Buford has. But I think Philip Simmons has got their work cut out for him trying to tackle Jaden Andrews.
I do too, and I think this will by far be the best defensive line they've seen and defensive front.
Because the
linebackers are really good, and the linebackers are really good in stopping the run, and Smalls is good in helping in the run too. He's a bulldog out there on the edge, and when he recognizes run, he'll come and help out because he trusts his safeties too. So, I like Buford against the run really good. Now they got worn down by those 5A teams, but that's a little different. You're platooning linemen and stuff, and Philip Simmons is not going to be able to do as much of that. I like Buford's offensive line too. Andrews obviously is putting up numbers, and I just pulled up his game by game. Let me see if I can get these pulled up because it's interesting. Because we had Casey Fields on the other night, and we keep saying, you're starting to look more and more like Casey Fields over here.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this as the Casey Fields comp because I don't have his numbers from last year, but you remember what it looked like. He wasn't really a running back at first. But you look at Andrews and the usage, and it's like 7 for 21, 3 for 59, 10 for 124. He showed a little something. So 22 for 137, 20 for 107, 21 for 184. Like, we got a workhorse here. We got a guy who can carry it 20 times and still come out fresh and ready to go again next week. And the touchdown numbers are 1, 1, 2, 2, 5. So like the guy's got a nose for the end zone now, and that's so valuable for them because they needed an identity on offense, and he's provided that. But that starts up front. And, Adrian Lamb and Kenshawn Speaks are the two guys we've talked a lot about. But any other offensive linemen that have impressed you, Jimmy, that have stepped up and really helped solidify up front?
Really all of them.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Lamb, man. Lamb's been a beast this year. I hadn't heard too many people, mention him this year, but but Lamb, he's had a great year. So far, but really Buford's offensive.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Wes.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, really, Buford's offensive line, they've really improved this year. The last couple games, I think they played their best games, of the season, but they keep getting better and better.
No question.
Yeah, you kind of going back to what we were talking about last night and what you mentioned. Adrian Lamb might be the biggest X factor on this team, and potentially maybe the MVP of what he's done, both blocking and setting up those runs. His work on defense.
Coco.
Run.
Coco.
Coco's doing something over what's a part in the action here as well. But do you agree with that? Do you think Adrian Lamb has really become that MVP caliber player on this team?
I agree with you. Yeah. Adrian's became I think is one of the MVPs of the defense along with Will Cotting. But he's really impressed me, and I hope a lot of these colleges take note of Lamb because he's a beast. It's amazing to see him just knock his blocker down. He's been impressive.
Yeah, he's legit. He's, I think, 6'6". He's got to be over 3 bills. He's a monster. And like you said, I've always thought of him as a offensive lineman first, sort of. But he's really starting to emerge on the defensive side. I think he's recruitable on both sides of the ball, by all means, with that size and agility, athleticism. He's got 30 tackles through 6 games and 20 solo tackles, which is a lot for a defensive lineman. He's got 4 tackles for loss, so he's getting into the backfield, getting pressure. He's got a sack, so he's not just a run-stopping guy. He can get after the quarterback a little bit. A pass breakup, which I'm sure was a tipped pass, and a blocked field goal. So he's got some real skills that somebody's going to get a diamond in the rough there that he hasn't gotten on big time D1 radars up to this point. Somebody's going to sneak in on him, I think. And they're going to be really happy with what they get because he's a monster. But Kenshawn Speaks is also a monster, and he's only a sophomore, right?
Yeah, he's only a sophomore. He's been impressive too.
Dude.
Yes.
He's something else. He is
large. Good.
Yeah, he's going to be special. He's 6'4", 288, they say, as a sophomore. That's what his max prep says. And he's every bit of that. And he moves too. And he blocks downfield. And man, I've seen him lay a couple of massive blocks this year. So, I think, like you said, Phillip Simmons is a very good team. And they have taken care of business convincingly. But I don't think they've played a team as physical and relentless as Buford. And so, I kind of lean Buford here. I mean, their toughest opponents are like Andrews and Timberland,
Yes.
Yeah. And Buford has played 2 games against 5A schools. Fort Dorchester, they just blew off.
They played 3 against 5A schools because they beat Goose Creek.
Yep, they beat Goose Creek.
Yeah, they beat Goose Creek,
yeah. And then they nearly beat a top 5, top 10 Fort Dorchester team. And then Gameday is another very good squad. So, there's nothing to be shamed about losing to those 2 teams. Especially
absolutely not.
Which is one of the best in the state.
Those were almost by design. Like those were 2 losses set up by design to figure out what you needed to fix and who could do what, who could really do it. So there was nothing to worry about ever. they're rolling now, and if they win this game, then you would assume they're going to roll. They're going to roll on through, and be all set up.
3A classification is no joke.
No, you want to get that 1 seed. You want to get that 1 seed. Stay home as long as you can. Avoid another 1 seed as long as you can, and be able to get kind of rested and right going into the playoffs, because it's going to be a slog, dude. Like from round 1, you might get a gimme, but round 2 on, it ain't going to be easy. And you remember Crestwood last year was an absolute dogfight. So it's going to be fun. But I do like Buford in this game. I think it's going to be really competitive for a good while, but I think Buford is going to wear them down in the fourth quarter and break it, have a couple scoring drives and a couple stops and flip the game. Because I just think they're more physical and tougher. And I think that'll come out tonight. But I like Phillip Simmons a lot. And I think win or lose, this game's going to make Phillip Simmons better, and they're going to be a problem and a tough out in the playoffs. Everybody agree on that?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I think, Phillip Simmons, they've impressed me with their 2 running backs. That Asbury, I've seen a lot of highlights on him, and he's definitely a great player.
Yeah, he's tough. And so is the other kid, Sherrod Williams.
Sherrod, yeah.
When you have 2 of those guys of that talent on the field, it's tough as a defense. Obviously, this is a situation where you're going to try to play the run first and maybe let them beat you through the air. I mean, even so, with those 2 guys in the backfield, it's hard to bring them down. I mean, nobody's had much success, but I think this is going to be the toughest complete defense that Phillip Simmons has seen with the relentlessness, the physicality, and the just overall cohesiveness of this defensive unit, the way they tackle so well and they fight so hard in every snap. It's going to be the biggest challenge. I think Buford is confident on that side of the ball heading into this game, but at the same time, you're going to have to play a very disciplined game. You're going to have to wrap up tackles, which is, as of a Bryce Laverne coach team, that's something that they always seem to do well. Play on the defensive side, get some stops, force some turnovers, and on the road, you want to bring that extra level of physicality and grit because that's what it's going to take in a region game, which I think will be a highly physical contest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
And I think Camacho is supposed to be back too, isn't he? Have y'all heard anything?
No, I haven't had communication over there. I've been busy, but that would be good news, though. That's why we have you on here, Jimmy. You hear things.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I hope he's going to be back.
Yeah, that would be huge because you can really go all out to stop the run if you got him back there. If you got him in Smalls and you're going to be fine. So I think Buford could potentially win this by like 3 touchdowns, but after it being like a 1-touchdown game going to the fourth, I just think they're going to be able to win up front. And if they can force Phillip Simmons to have to go to the air, it won't go as well for them as it has gone against other opponents. And the other thing that stands out to me is like, you look at those 2 guys, Asbury's averaging 12.6 per carry, Williams 14.7. But then you look at the other guys that got in garbage time, and they're also averaging like 16.8, 26.5, 8. So like the teams they were playing weren't stopping anybody. It didn't, so it's a little bit skewed. I think it's going to look different against this Buford defense, kind of like it did against Bluffton for 3 quarters, when the starters were in the game. So it'll be interesting, but I like Buford to take it home, and hopefully we see a happy Jimmy and a happy Coco tonight after the game.
I sure hope so.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll let you go. We appreciate you, and we'll look forward to talking to you tonight. Hopefully you can make it on.
Yeah, I'm hoping to make it back to talk about the game, and hopefully I'll be happy, and hopefully, Coco will be happy. So I look for a good game. And I think Buford's going to win it, though.
Yeah, I think so. All right, buddy. We appreciate you, man. Sign off.
All right, take care.
Do your thing. You got to do your thing.
If you do think Buford's going to win
go Eagles and go Lowco.
He just left.
Well,
right before he said
if you do think Buford's going to win it, Week 6 pick'em has just
That's
been
right.
on Twitter, so fill out your weekly forms, and we've got good competition going on for that top spot over there. So it's been
Dynamite segue, Wes. Dynamite. That was terrific. That'd be a bold pick if you want to put a little high number on that. I haven't done my picks, man. I'm too busy on Fridays and too ADHD to ever remember to do it. So haven't done my picks, but if you put a high confidence on Buford, you would have a chance to make up some ground. You would.
Especially by listening to the insider knowledge over here, makes the difference.
That's right. That's right. We got the insider knowledge. Dom Camacho, the line just moved. Dom Camacho could be back, according to booster Jimmy Searson. If you're gambling on high school football, you better be listening to the Lowco Game Day Live to get the latest news. All right, let's shout out some. We're getting loose. Let's shout out some sponsors. We got our varsity sponsors: DDS Web Design, David Denise Sinkovich, Yinzer's up Pittsburgh way, came down to the island for easy living, and they're still working. They just expanded their business to Hilton Head, and now they're building websites that are SEO friendly to help businesses and organizations get found online and do more with their online presence. So if you need to up your game online, for us extremely online people such as ourselves and our loyal audience of fellow weirdos or whatever we are, I don't know, man. Hit up ddshhi.com. DDS Web Design will get you going. They're the official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. And then we have the Parker Law Group in the varsity sponsor group this year. They have been helping folks out in Jasper, Colleton, and Hampton counties with their legal needs for years. And now they're helping us expand our coverage into those areas to continue to shine a light on more deserving student athletes and teams across the Lowcountry. So thanks to the Parker Law Group for joining us as a varsity sponsor. If you'd like to join them and be on Team Lowco, hit me up at lowcosports@gmail.com. It's LOWCO sports@gmail.com, and we'll get you going, get you in the lineup. And Wes, we got a few other games to get through. What else do you want to talk about? I guess we can talk about Hampton Ridgeland. That's where I'm headed. Love my Hampton folks, love my Ridgeland folks. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to see a lot of friends, and it could be a good football game. Like, I don't know if it's going to be, but it could be.
Yeah, I'm impressed by the way Ridgeland has started this season. I got to see them in action and they were very competitive in that game. And just by the way they responded with that long passing play from Maurice Brown, he settled into a pretty solid role there at quarterback, and the defense, plays a great brand. Xavier Plowden has had a really nice year over there, but Jaquise Johnson stood out. So there's a couple of guys who have been impact makers defensively, and then Juju Gordon's been a nice threat there at wide receiver. So they have the makings of a team that, especially with the way they play that physical defensive game, that if they can cause some troubles. Now that's easier said than done because you got to go up against Zion Dobson and one of the best running backs in the state. But good luck with that. But if you're able to make a couple stops and give the ball back to your offense, you never know. Try to shorten the game and use Maurice Brown in that ground attack, which was really efficient and effective in that Whale Branch game. So I do think Hampton County will win this game. I think Ridgeland could make this competitive, hang around a bit, but Hampton County, the much more complete, deep, talented football team coming off a loss, I think they'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and Hampton's not the type to they like to shorten the game, so they're not really gonna run up a lot of points typically. They'd rather grind you down as they put up points. So, and I think they'll be able to do that. But I do think, Ridgeland's got some hard hitting dudes on defense, and they're going to come out fired up. They definitely are very confident right now. They've got 3 wins already, and you got to go back to 2019 to get to a 3-win season. And we're only halfway through, so they're feeling their oats. And they're looking forward to this opportunity, and I think they'll come out ready to play at home. And and if Hampton is not on point out of the gate, then it's got a chance to get interesting. Because Winston Smith is a really good back. I don't know if Brown will be back. Maurice Brown didn't play last week. If there's any Ridgeland fans watching and you know anything about that, you can hit us in the comments, and we'll share the comment on the screen.
What game
tell
I'm
people
really
what's up. But Devin Fields played really well last week. He was 4 for 9 2 touchdowns, also had a rushing touchdown. So they've got a plan there if Maurice can't play. So that's not a big issue. It's an interesting game.
You know which game I'm really interested in? May River, Lucy Beckham. Very, very interesting because this Sharks team have been the way they've competed on the road these last few weeks. Gameday gave up 7, almost tied it at the very end, was a yard away. And going to that back-up Buford game, also a really impressive on the road against a solid offense. So I think this is a situation where May River can compete and find a way to stay into the fourth quarter if that defense can maintain the way it's playing. Now, Lucy Beckham has been impressive this year. Bryce Rothwell has been a beast over there in terms of this blocking, and they got 2 really strong backs. So May River's defense is going to have to tackle. They're going to have to play to that level, maybe even a higher level than we've seen. But I think the situation, the script is there for the Sharks to hang around by what we've seen from them. And I think Richard Bonneville is doing an outstanding job in his first year as head coach. I think this team's more dialed in, locked in, and they're just playing a little more hungry this year. So I think there's an opportunity for the Sharks here to really make a statement region play here in week 1.
I do too. Man, if I was picking it, I don't even know which way I'd go because, like, Beckham's defense has been really terrific, but the schedule's not like super impressive, and the offense, I'm not totally sold on it. Like, I want to believe in Beckham. I'm so close. Like, if they beat May River tonight, I'll like, they're on the cusp of my top 10. Like, but I need to see it tonight. And May River, I'm like, man, that defense can play straight up. They've played with some people, and I think they're going to be able to hold Lucy Beckham to, 10 or 14 or something in that neighborhood. But they didn't score any last week, and they scored 13 the week before against really good defenses. But I think this is a really good defense. So can they score more than that? I see it being like a 14-7, 14-10, 17-14 type of game that could go either way. So, it's really interesting to me, and it definitely will clarify these 2 games. Hilton Head Bluffton and May River Lucy Beckham will clarify a lot, but not everything, because they still got to all play each other. But that'll give us a little bit more context to start to lay it out. Going to be a fun night in that region for sure. I don't think Colleton can really hang with James Island. Their defense is solid, but they just can't put up enough points. James Island's really good. Battery Creek, North Charleston is very, very interesting.
That's a huge one.
It's a huge game. It is. And man, I want to say it's like a slam dunk, but it's not. It's an interesting game. North Charleston's they're not good. They're like Battery Creek. They're not good, but they're not as bad as they sometimes look either. They're closer to being good than people think. They've got some good players, and good players make big plays, and big plays win games, and it only takes 1 or 2 sometimes. So that can go either way as well. I mean, it's just some good matchups. Whale Branch Bethune that's a blowout. Should be, right, Dwight? Are you watching? You got to work today, Dwight. HHCA First Baptist, not super interesting. HHCA should roll, right?
Yeah. Ron Peduzzi's team's playing pretty well right now. I like the way that defense has been flying, especially, Zane Wilson's been great, but man, Reed McCollum, he's been my guy. I've been talking up a lot about him just because of how impressed I am of his effort on both sides, and just the athleticism to, 4 picks already and 1 to the house. He has been doing it all, and a great tackler as well. So that defense has really stepped it up. And then, another guy who I've really enjoyed watching is AJ Hopt. Great story, the way he's become that security blanket for that passing game from Dylan Clark. And, of course, you got Tyshawn Mansell, electric veteran here in the Lowco, coming over from Thomas Hayward. And then Gates at Alokan, a really nice playmaker as well. But AJ Hopt has really been that key guy on this offense to extend drive. So he's been big, and Dylan Clark really able to make some moves on the ground with an offensive line that has gotten better recently. I thought they played really well against Buford Academy. So if they can get, which I think they should against First Baptist, it could be another high-scoring outing and another great night at the cage for Eagle fans. And I got to see the Eagle Walk for the first time last week, where they go out of the school, they walk around, they ring the bell. It's electric.
Oh, ooh,
Yeah, it's a great
nice,
pregame tradition.
nice. It can't beat that hurricane walk though.
Oh
That
no.
hurricane walk. The eagle walk that Buford does is pretty cool too,
Yes.
because they walk up from the school and it's like up that like wooded pathway. Like that one's pretty cool. That one's pretty dope. I love a good tradition like that. Those are fun. We need more of those. But anyway, you also wanted to talk a little bit about Hilton Head Prep and Florence Christian, because like you, I agree that that Sea Pines afternoon sun is always an X factor, and you
It's
just don't know how people are going to respond to it. You just don't know. And Hilton Head Prep has been fighting people, man. Like, I know they're losing, but it's not. They ain't stopping the fight. Like they're fighting.
Last 2 weeks they have been very, very competitive, and it certainly was a slower start for them. But it's been great to see them stay in games and compete. And the way they played defense against Buford Academy early on in the season, it was a 7-0 game, and unfortunately lost 28-0. But they're going to fight you for every first down, and coming up short, 35-14 against Academy. Once again doing its thing, but yeah, Hilton Head Prep, that's a team that's going to fight, and I like the way some of those guys play defensively, and will just give all the efforts that they have in them to make stops and force them to do something extra special to win against them. And of course on offense you have AJ Barger, who has been one of the most dynamite plays. He hasn't gotten as much love just because of the team success, but he is certainly worthy as one of the best players in the area. And Jason Britchie has been great on defense as well. And a couple other guys. I'm trying to look up the roster because
Sheehan's
was the guy.
Sheehan's a dog. He's a really good player on both sides on the line.
It's a growing defensive unit, and there's some younger guys that have taken some steps as well. Is Danny Fernandez? Is he still out?
I don't know, but Danny is a good player as well, and good friend of Lowco.
They're playing more video. They're starting to play more videos. I gotta copy and paste or do something else because
Max Preps, it's a whole mess. I finally figured out how to mute that site in Chrome so it just never plays audio. So when it auto plays the video, I don't get the audio. I can't handle it.
I mean, Dustin Etheridge, I think there's some growth there this year with what I've seen with the compete the last 2 weeks.
For sure.
I think the defense is starting to play a little better. Wyatt Harmer, he's still growing, still a young quarterback, but if you can find some more guys, more skill players, and then if the offensive line has been the big question, just the depth hasn't been there. You got to have, when you have so few guys who play both ways, it's hard to get to have that stamina to play a full 4-quarter game. So that's been the tough task for Hilton Head Prep these last few years. But at the same time, I mean, the opportunity's there. And this Florence Christian team, they still have Jules Huntley, who is obviously still very talented out there in the backfield, but he really don't have much in the passing game this year. So if you're able to stack the box, stop the run, and get some stops for your offense, you never know. And I think there's an opportunity for Hilton Head Prep today, and excited to see what they can do this afternoon coming over there to watch them the first time this season.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, I also thought JP2 could compete with Florence Christian last week, and they got beat 42-7. So I don't know, man. What do I know? But I think Prep's defense is until they get into the fourth quarter, they're pretty tough. So I think they can. I think there's a path where they can keep it close enough to be competitive and hope that the Florence Christian gasses in the fourth quarter in the sun. But that we'll see. We're always optimistic, man. Anything can happen at 1:27 p.m. Kickoff's hours away. JP2 could upset Cardinal Newman and give them their first loss. They probably won't, but they could, because I assume Christian Tilton's playing, and as long as he's playing, he got a shot.
Yeah,
he got a shot.
That's pretty solid too. But Chris, when you have CT4 on the field, that's a whole new game breaking ability that you have on offense with his skills there. So.
Well, they're in a spot at this point where it's like if he's back, that's great because we're better with him and we want to see him play. Like we want him to play for us more. But if he's not, that's more opportunities for Alan Wolf to grow up, and he's going to be the guy next year. And it looks like he's going to be pretty good for a few years. So it's a glass half full situation, and I'm sure Christian is itching to be out there every chance he can, and hopefully he's out there tonight. I haven't gotten a report on him this week. I assume he's okay. But that's an assumption based on no news is good news. That's all. But then more interestingly, Greenwood Christian at Colleton Prep, and Greenwood's 2-4, but has had a bunch of close games, including a pretty decent game with BA. And then they played Patrick Henry to the wire. Right. So that's an interesting matchup. Colleton Prep is a sneaky 4-2, having played half the season so far without Cole Davis. They're that's a good.
They always have a strong.
They got a good thing going there. They got a good thing going.
Greg Langdale's a great coach. We saw it last year with that run of the state championship. But we've talked about Obanos, who has been a nice player defensively. They got a few other guys who have been rock solid pieces. They definitely lost a few from last year, but the offensive line is solid. But be able to be 4-2 like that after so much turnover from last year. Great coaching, and these players, I've done a good job stepping in and being that next man up. So I'm really impressed by the culture that's developed over there. Greg Lane, to get something good going over there. College Prep, hope to see them make another good run in the postseason this year, and it's been great to see, especially with a couple of years where it kind of got away from them a bit. I think these last two seasons have been a big step up. So. Great work over there for Coach Langdale and the Warhawks, and then Thomas Hayward, Dylan Christian. It's the Tony O'Banner show, isn't it? The Lowco, 100%. And it's been fun to watch. Tony McGeary, what a job at Easton. First year head coach with a program that maybe they lost a lot. You lose Dietrich Schuford, you lose a couple of skill guys. Mansell walks away, but man, you got an athlete in the field who is otherworldly compared to most other skis players. Tony O'Banner, bring him out in the field, see what he can do, and it's just beast mode. I mean, there's no to stop him. And then the defense is playing better.
Yeah, they played really tough. I mean, they've allowed 15 points the last two games. And a lot of it is, from my understanding, talking to people, is like every game's a dogfight. And the first two, they lost to JP2, and then they lost fairly convincingly to Northwood. But then the last three have been like battles, but they won the first one by 7 points, and they won the second one by 28 points or 26 points, and they won the third one by 19 points. And it's like, okay, well, you're winning the battles by increasing margins here. That tells me that you're doing little things, that you're closing it out. You're just not like they're moving the ball, but you're not giving up. You're stopping them eventually. Bend but don't break. That they're being relentless. And I think that you have to credit the coaching staff. And some of that's culture that was instilled by the previous coaching staff too. But Tony McGeary and I think Tyree Simmons gets a lot of credit too. And Tony gets credit for bringing him in there because, hiring the first black coach at Thomas Hayward Academy, where they're the Rebels, it takes a certain kind of coach and athletic director, and Al Bonai gets some credit too for making that move, because that's not going to be popular with everyone necessarily. And they made that move. And I think that Tyree, from what I've seen from him, in person and on social media, is he's in that echelon with Casper Middleton now of the kind of guy that you want to send your son to let him mold him, not only as a football player, but as a young man. And having him on the staff there, I think, is huge for Tony. But I think it's huge for that whole program and for that school, because he is started from the bottom. Now we hear real life story, and he is preaching the right things to the kids, and it's really a cool thing. But Tony, 74 for 871 for an 11.8 average, 14 touchdowns, and he wasn't really he was he wasn't even really a running back the first game. I think he was like a wide receiver or a tight end, but he had 10 carries. But he's full on passing the ball now too. So he's 19 for 34 for 343 with 1 touchdown and 5 picks. But he's going to get better and better at throwing the ball. He's got an arm. He looks like Cam, man. Even the way he throws it looks like Cam. He's fun. He can do anything. He's just a football player.
Yeah, and if he continues to improve at quarterback and that defense, maintains that lights out aggressiveness, it's going to be interesting to see what this team could do, especially moving towards that matchup with Patrick Henry. So I think there's a way Thomas Hayward can make some noise. Obviously, it starts with keeping O'Banner healthy and most of those other guys as well who play both ways, because it's definitely thinner this year, but they are doing a great job of what they got.
Yeah, and they'd be in a world of hurt without Tony. I mean, it's just, and that's not to take anything away from the other kids who are doing their job. They know their role and they're doing their job. That's why it works. But you take that linchpin out of there and it ain't the same team, So they got to keep him upright. They got to keep him healthy. But he is, as you mentioned, he's on a different level physically against the guys he's playing against. His peers are not his peers physically. So, his body can withstand a lot because there's no one. He's a Mack truck fighting Pintos out there. Like it ain't fair. It ain't fair sometimes what he does. It's crazy. But Reed McCollum's starting to look a little bit like that too. He does some things that aren't fair either. It's like, okay, you got to go to the big leagues, buddy. You can't do this anymore. This isn't fair. You got to go where the linemen are full size, sir. Some of them are full size, but not all of them are full size in Skeeza. But man, I enjoy Skeeza football. It was fun. It's a different.
Probably good storylines this year, and we could have a big championship Saturday with how things are looking, or Friday.
I just like being on the sidelines of Skeeza games because there's only like 12 people over there with you. You get to know everybody.
Yep.
No, man, it's good times no matter where we are on Friday night, and I look forward to being out there tonight and talking with all our friends later on tonight after it's all over to see what happened and share our stories from another Lowco Friday night. So let's shout out the Lowco Booster Club real quick. We got Lowco Booster Club members include Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. My guy Max over there, he's got all kinds of membership packages. So like if you just know like I need to get that juice every week, just go get a membership and you can get like unlimited IV drips and go sit in the massage chair whenever you want. It's like basically having a free massage subscription too. Like it's a great deal, right? I gotta get on that. Actually, that sounds really good. So go to Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. Great team over there. And everybody who goes over there comes out feeling like $1 million. And but if that doesn't do the whole trick, and you need to get a little mechanical adjustment, snap, crackle, and pop, go see my guy Ambrose, Mizzou grad like myself, great guy. He's also bald headed like myself, bearded like myself. He kind of look alike actually. He doesn't wear glasses though. But he'll get you all cracked up. He'll work your neck out, whatever's bothering you, and probably let you know why it's happening so that you can try to make an adjustment in your life to make things a little bit better for you. For me, it's all this sitting at the computer. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do about that. This is my life. So I just go see Ambrose and he gets me fixed up. Rooted Living Wellness, great place, really chill vibe, and you'll probably see somebody over there. I saw like 3 people I knew when I went in there, because that's Bluffton for you. And then we've got Eagle Creations. They do great promotional products and custom gift baskets right now. It's holiday season, Wes. You're starting to see the Halloween. Have you seen any of those giant skeletons in your neighborhood? I got a giant one in my neighborhood. It's awesome.
It's coming for sure.
Yeah, people are up in their game on the Halloween decks.
Oh yeah.
But once the Halloween decks start going up, with supply chain issues being what they are and all, you better start working on your holiday gifts.
Oh yeah.
And Eagle Creations has some great holiday gift baskets they can put together for you. With their proudly Southern fare that they throw in there. So go see them and let them know what you're looking for in your gift baskets, and they'll get you all squared away. You can be done with your holiday shopping before we even get to Halloween, or even before you eat the first bag of Halloween candy, the one that you bought early just to be ahead of it. I always go through at least one before the Halloween people actually come. Who else we got in the Booster Club? We got I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Let me get a different page open. I don't have it in front of me. We got the Court Lifestyle Pros, of course. They are Daniel and Debbie Court. You'll see Daniel on WHHI tonight, calling the game with Libs, who will be on with us tonight on Lowco Pigskin Live Recap Show. And they are selling the Lowco Lifestyle on HHI. So if you want to live life to the fullest on the island like them, call on the Court Lifestyle Pros. And I am missing one sponsor, Barefoot Floor Care, the Lowcountry. Gosh dang it, Chris. I'm so sorry. Chris actually watches the show sometimes, so I feel bad about leaving him or not thinking of him immediately. But that's because my house is clean right now, so I'm not thinking about him. But if your house is not clean or your business, you need commercial cleaning. They're trying to get more business in Beaufort now. So if you need commercial cleaning in Beaufort, need to get your floors cleaned. They can also do upholstery, carpet, even ceiling tiles. So if you need to get your place spruced up a little bit, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They'll get the floors so clean your feet will thank you. And those are our MVP or our Lowco Booster Club sponsors. You can join the Booster Club for just $50 a month or $500 per year. Just hit me up at lowcosports@gmail.com, LOWCO sports@gmail.com. Wes, any final thoughts before we shove off and rest up and charge our devices for tonight?
I'm taking a look at these Region 7 4A games, especially the one I'm at, Bluffton Hilton Head, going to be one heck of a contest. Obviously, a big rivalry with those two quarterbacks, 1A, 1B, now going up against each other. Hilton Head, Bluffton, Owen Bays, Jackson, Bybee. But I'm excited to see how that Hilton Head team will do after taking that week off. The intensity they're going to show on the defensive side, and how Bluffton can follow up that terrific offensive performance last week against the Beaufort Eagles. Hanging with, obviously, it was some games, parts of the game against some weaker defenders, but thought they played really well. Then May River, a big statement game. A lot of big statement games. You got May River, you got Battery Creek with an opportunity. Something you got Phillips against Beaufort. So a lot of big games early on in this.
A lot of stakes. It's high stakes for the first week of region play. I agree with that. It's pretty high stakes for this early in region play. So that's fun. And even Hampton Ridgeland, like that's a game that Ridgeland has circled, man. They want that one. So Hampton's going to have to come out and play well. And so that's what you want. You want competitive games that you got to play well to win. And I think we're going to see a number of those tonight, and I look forward to talking with my friends about it late tonight. So let's call it an afternoon and rest up for the night shift, Wes. Thanks so much to everybody who stopped by. Marcus Walsh came in, Jimmy Searson as well. Enjoyed having them. Look forward to seeing more friends tonight, including Kevin Libby. Hopefully we can get Sammy Dubs on. He was maybe going to go up check out North Augusta tonight. He likes those teams up there because he's from up that way. So he's trying to check out that Aiken area for us a little bit, scout him for the playoffs. He might also be looking for guys who could play at Morehouse. He wears his Maroon Tigers stuff. He's looking for players to put around Jay over at Morehouse. But we'll have some friends on to talk with us. I'm sure Stricklander will jump in, as well as Jimmy Searson will be back. And it'll be a good time. So come and join us at 11:30 p.m. when we land back at HQ after our games. It'll be a good time, and we will see you through to the wee hours and let you know everything that happened across the Lowco. So for Wes Kerr, I am Justin Jarrett. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, go Lowco.